Almost insightful. What up, Almost Insightful Nation?
We're back. Back in business. We did it.
On this show, Raygan and I have assigned each other a movie or TV show to watch that the other person hasn't seen yet. One of us gets a movie/TV show that we think is bad, and the other person is going to get assigned one that we think is good. We're going to discuss the contents on this show, and at the end of the episode, we assign each other what to watch before the next podcast.
After a long break of
3 weeks.
2 weeks.
It wasn't that long.
It wasn't that long, but for our listeners that are just, they're seething for more of us.
Yeah, they
They're
haven't
seething.
left their seats glued waiting.
And don't use... Okay. Gosh, I'm so tired. I don't care about this stupid podcast
Welcome
anymore.
back.
We've already been recording for 20 seconds, and I feel so bad. I want to warn the listeners this week that I may have gone too far in a few places. I genuinely regret the movie that I gave you last week, Raygan.
My word.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah,
with that being said, you are listening to Almost Insightful, emphasis on the almost. I am Kilian Soper, Jeffrey Dallas's penguin, and there's a dog in the background.
And my name is Alvin Flang. Welcome to episode 3.
If you understand that reference, you are one of us at this table.
Yeah, you will understand it soon, but if you already do, welcome to the club and come on the podcast.
Well, thank you, Alan Flang, for joining us,
Yes.
for joining me at this podcast table.
Yes, happy
Holy
to be
crap.
here.
I can't believe we did it.
Yes.
We made it through all of Love on a Leash.
Yes, we did.
It's an hour and 25 minutes of the worst hell that you can possibly imagine.
How dare you?
I've seen more.
Personally.
How dare you make a joke of this time
Okay.
that I wasted in my life, Raygan?
Okay.
I feel... Okay, so we'll get to that.
We will come back to that. But first, I want to talk about an actual good movie before we have to
I'm ready.
deal with pain.
I'm ready.
All right, let's talk about Dolemite Is My Name. Can you tell me what you thought the story was of this movie?
Yes. So I have to just start by saying I didn't know that this was a true story.
Oh, really?
When I first started it off, I had never heard of Dolemite or any of his wonderful feature films. 7 feature films or something
like that, yeah.
In the credits, they go through all of that.
Yes.
But anyway, this movie is about a struggling stand-up comedian, announcer, songwriter, musician, everything that exists. Yes, he's a struggling all of it. He's a struggling entertainer.
Yes, he's just a man who wants to be famous.
Yes, in some capacity, which is wonderful.
Yes.
So good. And essentially, this is his journey through his attempts at making stardom in some way. So he starts off by introducing bands at a small African-American owned club, and he tries to do a little bit of stand-up. The owner gives him 5 minutes to do whatever he wants, and it's never good. And Snoop Dogg is in the beginning of the movie and middle of the movie, and I wasn't expecting that. There's a lot of cameos.
There's a lot of... Yeah, we'll talk about the cast, but there's a lot of, like, small parts of big people.
Yes. We'll get into that. Sorry, I keep getting off topic. This really was a fantastic movie.
Yes. If we do get off topic a lot, we're both very tired because we've been working in 90-degree humid weather all day.
Yes.
So we apologize for that, but it's still going to be a lot of fun talking.
A heck of a time.
It's gonna be a good one.
The last 2 podcasts, our only 2 podcasts that we recorded were like, we had plenty of rest. We were recording at like 5 to 6 at night.
And it was during the weekend.
Yes.
We record on a Saturday or Sunday, and now it's Tuesday.
Coming out of sweet, sweet air conditioning into more air conditioning.
Yes.
And now we came from death. Okay.
Yes.
So Dolemite. So essentially this story is about Rudy Ray Moore, who is an actual entertainer that I didn't know about at the beginning. And it's him finding all the right people in his life and eventually settling on a stand-up comedy act that really worked for him. Through a homeless man, he found material that he really connected with and decided to present something similar on stage using that stage name that the guy that he talks with gives him. And then he finds a way to make a movie, and through this movie he runs into struggles meets a lot of eccentric characters.
Yes.
And has a heck of a time.
Oh yeah.
That's essentially the bare bones structure of the movie.
Yeah,
We'll get into more specifics later on.
There's a lot to it, but it's...
And it is a real movie that came out. So this is like sort of like The Disaster Artist. This is a making of a movie. And so it's a biopic of somebody making an actual movie.
Yes. This was a Netflix original that came out in 2019.
Yes.
And so it's a fairly recent film.
And this is our second good movie in a row where it's about filmmaking.
That's true.
I really didn't think about
even
that.
Think about
one of them's a true story and one of them's a complete fictional story.
Yes, but still.
Yes.
So, what did you think about Dolemite is My Name?
Dolemite was really, really great. I forgot, was it a Netflix original? Or
Yes, I believe it is a Netflix original.
I don't remember seeing the Netflix logo, but I thought you had told me that, and I believe
I
you,
could
frankly.
be wrong, but I am like 90% positive.
Okay, sweet. So I really, really enjoyed it. I think it was an awesome movie. Any movie that is about filmmaking is already kind of like a cheap move to get me on board.
Yeah.
But the character Eddie Murphy is so great, and
it's his best work in years, probably.
I haven't seen a ton of his stuff, but haven't these last 3 years or so been a comeback for Eddie Murphy?
I think so. Yeah, he's kind of done little things here and there, but especially with Dolemite is My Name, it was just a huge, like, perfect role for him. Yeah. He's so eccentric with his acting and comedy. Rudy Ray Moore is just this crazy character of a person.
Right.
And it's just like a match made in heaven.
Yeah. He's really good in the role. I don't know anything about Rudy Ray Moore in real life. Mm-hmm. I think when they showed the reel at the end of the actual Dolemite movie being made, I had recognized a few scenes, maybe from like worst scenes of all time in movie history.
Yeah, that
like
would make sense.
Like compilations online.
Yeah. Dolemite's always been kind of known as a so bad it's good sort of blaxploitation type film.
Right.
And those were kind of all of his movies because he was just an eccentric guy who wanted to make movies about girls and kung fu and crime and all this like awesome stuff that he's just like, people love this stuff for.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was super fun to watch all these celebrities. The celebrity cameos were some of my favorites, but I loved the atmosphere. I loved the comedy and all the performances except for one. I really enjoyed.
Okay. Do you want to talk about the good ones first, or do you want to talk about the one?
Well, let's talk about the good ones first.
Okay. I'm honestly not sure which one you would be thinking. I thought they were all really good. Maybe I'll change my mind when I hear it.
Okay.
I thought Divine Joy Randolph as Lady Reed was really great.
Yeah.
She was a huge standout.
Yep.
Wesley Snipes as this like cynical actor director who just hates his life the whole time.
I loved Wesley Snipes in the movie. I thought he was great. I've only really ever seen him as Blade because of the Marvel fan.
I haven't even seen Blade.
I've only seen the first Blade. Shout out to Alyssa because she loves the Blade movies and didn't even know they were part of Marvel.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, those are like 3 out of the 5 Marvel movies I've not seen in my life.
Yeah.
Out of the entire roster. So
yes.
She's seen all of them. I've only seen one. I'm not a true fan. But yeah, Wesley Snipes was awesome. Mm-hmm. Awesome. He was my favorite. Great. I liked him more than anybody in the movie. He was so good.
I think him and Eddie Murphy were my two that like clashed on who would be my favorite performance in that movie because they were both great.
I want to ask forgiveness for the butchering of these names, but I didn't know. I didn't know about any of these people in real life. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming they were all based on at least somebody that was real.
Yeah.
But D'Urville Martin was who Wesley Snipes played, and I'm assuming that he was a really big character back in the day because Wesley Snipes was hilarious.
Yes.
Great stuff.
So funny.
Okay, who's your next one that you wanted to praise?
I thought Keegan-Michael Key was really good. I like his performance. Was that the one you didn't like?
That's the one I didn't like.
Oh, interesting.
I've
I
never
thought he
seen
was
him
good.
in a serious role, so that could have been part of it. Keegan Michael Key, of course, of Key and Peele fame, which I'm a huge fan of, and I like his voice work, like he's in Toy Story 4. But I really didn't enjoy his performance.
Interesting.
It was too much.
I get it. Yeah, I
have
get
some.
that.
I actually only have.
I kind of liked his. I thought his performance was good, and I liked how his character was like kind of questionable about Rudy's choices, and then became more and more on board with the movie and with Rudy's mindset, and basically became part of the group that Rudy has had since the beginning, even before he started filming Dolemite.
As with all of these movies that are based on true stories, biopics, I always wonder what of it is dramatized. Did Rudy Ray Moore actually get his idea from a homeless man?
Yeah.
Did the record person who was played by Snoop Dogg, did Raj, I think was his name?
Oh yeah.
Did Raj actually deny him so many times, and then later on actually ended up playing him? All these things just seem so huge and cinematic that I doubt their legitimacy. But
yeah. Speaking of the Snoop Dogg part, I thought it was hilarious when, at the beginning of the movie, Rudy comes to Raj to give him different songs to try get him to play over the radio.
Yeah.
And one of them was called Ring-a-Ding Dong.
Yeah.
And he just sings it for him, and he's like, Rudy, we can't play this. This is not a hit. And then all of a sudden, Rudy gets famous with his stand-up and with all this different stuff. And so he comes in and is like, you gonna play my stuff on the radio now? And he's like, yeah. And Rudy obviously thinks he's going to play the famous stand-up stuff.
Yep.
And then Raj just puts on Ring-a-Ding Dong, and it's so funny. He's no, hey, that's not Trackman. There he goes.
Rudy's banging.
Whatever. It's still catch.
Rudy's just banging on the studio door to let Raj take the music off the radio.
That part's one of my biggest laughs in the movie, I think.
It was really good. I should have started with this probably, but I don't think I can think of a biopic that I like more than this.
I agree.
It's my favorite biopic, I think.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
The Disaster Artist is really great.
I think this is better.
I agree.
Yeah.
This one is...
Loved both.
I love both, too. Both were hilarious and also informal and everything. But this was just a little better in everything, especially with its characters.
I agree. I noticed in the credits... Eddie Murphy, or I guess, never mind. I noticed in the credits that it was dedicated to somebody Murphy, which I'm assuming was Eddie Murphy's dad, maybe, who passed away in 2017, which is probably about the time where he'd be getting this movie together. So I just wonder if whoever that was related to Eddie Murphy was a really big Dolemite fan or a really big Rudy Ray Moore fan.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea. I thought about that a little bit too, but yeah, that would be interesting to look up sometime.
It's crazy how we talk about the censorship of the modern era in real life, how everything is more free now than it was, and how back in the day everything was so censored. Yeah. But then you get to this movie,
you get
and
Rudy
Ray
Moore, and you get all of his albums have naked women on the front. Yep. The Dolemite the movie is just absolutely insane in the best way.
Right. There was no, there of course was censorship. He wasn't allowed to air any of his comedy specials or anything. Yeah. But they were on these underground vinyl records that he would pass out of the trunk of his car.
Yes.
To people within 5 blocks of him or whoever wanted to buy his albums. I thought that was awesome.
That was super cool.
And I like that they framed it at the beginning of the movie like he was getting super, super famous, but then later on when he's trying to make the movie, he's trying to get a deal for that. They kind of scale it back and they're like, hey, you've only been selling, you might be really famous within your 5 blocks in your neighborhood, but movies are, big time. They're completely different. Yeah. I just liked, because I was like, oh, he's getting super famous, so I should have already heard of this guy, but no.
Yeah.
And this was set in the 70s, and censorship was at an all-time, not an all-time high, but this might have been one of the artists. Rudy Ray Moore might have been one of those stand-up acts that really pushed the boundaries of censorship.
I would guess so for sure.
Yeah.
Because
I wish they went more into that.
I do too a little
Sequel.
bit. Yeah.
Let's do a sequel.
Dolemite is my name too.
Still. Dolomite is still my
Yeah,
name.
maybe they'll go with another of his movie titles.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But
I'm open
yeah,
for a sequel.
I really like that aspect of it. I love it's just so admirable seeing how hard Rudy works for his craft and for his
Definitely.
love and want to be famous. He tours everywhere trying to get his records out, and then once the movie is made, he takes it to every theater that will let him go until it can get a big release. Mm-hmm. It's just very admirable and really cool because this is not something that everyone could do. It's like only someone who has
very specific.
Yes, only someone with a personality like Rudy's, this would be possible.
I loved the scene where all of Rudy and his friends went to the cinema. They went to the theater and they watched... I don't know what movie it was, but they watched a movie that was sort of the norm of the time. It was like a flashback cinema movie. And it was supposed to be a comedy. And the only people in the audience that were laughing were the white people. Yeah. And then Rudy's core group of guys were all just like bewildered that like, this would be funny to anybody.
This is not funny. There is no, like, nudity.
Right.
There's no kung fu.
Right. There's
no cool action scenes.
Do you want to know what's really funny?
What?
I thought it was funny.
The movie?
I thought the movie was funny. I thought that... I forgot what exactly they said in the movie, but the one part...
right when it was about to say, like...
oh, yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yes, it was about to say a curse word, and then he switched it over real quick because
I thought
it was
funny.
A... old like 60s 70s movie.
That's funny.
That's so great.
It's okay. For our podcast listeners, I'm actually white. I don't know if that comes across.
We've never talked about it, but we're two white people in our 20s. I know, I'm joking. That was sarcastic.
So that was I see. So that was a funny that you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Love on a Leash.
This is going to be our last episode.
I actually regret giving you that second movie. I went too far.
We're not there yet. Stop.
But listen, it's going to be our worst movie. I don't think I can go there again. Like, I'm not just saying this.
Episode 3.
I'm not just saying this to have people like keep listening.
Well, I mean, yes, it is because it's
like a student
barely
film. Okay.
It's not even a student film. We'll get to it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
okay.
Don't be sorry.
Dolemite.
We'll get to it. Do you want to talk about the smaller parts a little bit? Some of the like surprise ones?
I have one, just one great scene that was killing me. It was so funny. So Rudy had known basically failure his entire life, and then he started doing the stand-up act that worked for him really well, and all he needed to take this off to take his career off was get a little bit of money. Mm-hmm. So he goes to his quote-unquote auntie.
Oh, yeah.
And he's talking about the new form of his comedy, and she has a very fancy house and clearly has more money than he does, and he's asking her for the money, sort of. And she is very religious, and he is very, very, very racy in his comedy, and he doesn't want her to hear it. So she's like, so what are you doing? What kind of comedy are you doing? And he's like, oh, it's a kind of experimental, alternative comedy, sort of.
Yeah.
And he's dancing around it because he wants the $250 from his aunt, but she is very religious and wouldn't want to get it.
Woman.
And then at the end, he basically threatens her with a knife to get the money.
That part was so funny.
As a joke. It was a joke.
Of course it was a joke. And then I think
later,
later Rudy shows her his album, and it's just like fully nude, like 5 women and Rudy there.
Yep, and then the aunt has that face of like, oh dear.
Yes. What have I done?
That was, I think, my favorite scene in the whole movie, besides maybe the end where he's like, they want Dolemite, I'm going to give them Dolemite, which is...
Yes, that is
gave me chills. It was such a weird way. We'll get there. I want to get there. But
we will.
Yeah. What was one of your smaller moments?
Smaller moments.
I can talk about Keegan-Michael Key, just like a specific complaint I had.
Sure.
So it's not just like, I didn't like this.
Yeah, we can do that.
So Jerry Jones, which was Keegan-Michael Key, he seemed a little bit expository. For some reason, like when Rudy first met him and they're talking, he's like, "I'm all about my art," and I think so. He was very pretentious in that way,
Yes.
and I was like, I don't think in real
he
life
was like a theater writer.
He was a theater writer. So yeah, for you guys, Dolemite goes to a play and he's trying to get a writer for his movie.
And this is a very serious play too.
Yeah, it's a very serious play. It's black led, so everybody in the play is black, and the writer's black as well, Jerry Jones. But he's like, I'm all about my art, and I have a certain prestige, and he felt like he was giving the audience what we would have found out if they just showed us. You know what I mean? Like we figured he was an auteur. We didn't need to. So that was an issue with the writing for me. But I also didn't like Keegan-Michael Key's.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I don't know.
Gotcha. I can definitely see where you're coming from.
Right.
I still really liked him and thought he was good, especially in certain parts of the movie.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah,
he's always a welcome presence. I love Keegan-Michael Key.
Yes. He's a great actor.
Key and Peele. Seriously.
Hilarious. Yeah.
Actually, we had to cut out a joke on the last episode that I made about Key and Peele that had a drug reference in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Key and Peele is one of my favorite comedy shows ever made.
Yes,
but there's not that many jokes on here that we can talk about because usually they're about racism or they're about drugs or they're about anything else that we are not allowed to talk about because I'm going to be a teacher and I'm not allowed to do that.
The good little boy across the table from me over there.
I am the one who scarred you and made you the way you are, Raygan. I'm not a good little boy.
Yep, and now you're making me censor myself for a podcast.
True. Poetic. Okay,
Oh,
sorry.
the
You wanted
irony.
to talk about some
Yeah,
smaller
do you want
moments.
to talk about some of the smaller roles
Absolutely.
that surprised me?
Mm-hmm.
So, some of my favorites. Chris Rock, I didn't expect to be in there.
Me neither.
It was just totally out of the blue. He was a radio host that had Rudy Ray Moore on his talk show to ask him about a possible movie. This was during the time when Rudy didn't think his movie was going to be able to sell or be out at all, and he was really down by it. And then Chris Rock kind of gives him a theater that he'd be able to show his movie in.
I loved that flip of the switch. So they're recording, and Chris Rock is like, "We'll be right back with Dolemite and everything, or with Rudy Ray Moore." And then he's
"What
like,
the f is wrong with you?
What the f is wrong with you?
You aren't giving me anything."
Right.
And he's just like,
and Rudy's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "I'm trying to sell your movie, and you're not giving me anything." And then Rudy says, I would give you as many details if I could if I thought this movie was going to be able to be made.
There really is no movie because no one's going to buy it and I can't show it anywhere.
Right.
So I thought he was really great in the just few minutes he was in there. It was awesome
me too.
Cameo.
Loved it.
Another one that I knew we would both really like, Bob Odenkirk.
Yes.
Awesome.
Bob Odenkirk. I'm a big fan of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. I haven't seen Better Call Saul all the way through, but Breaking Bad is my favorite show of all time. Yes. It was awesome to see him in it.
Yes, he's got great comedic chops as well.
He does.
Yeah. And
this was more of a serious role, actually, and I was like, I welcome it.
It kind of was, but I really liked, because he was in charge of some movie studio or something that wanted to buy Dolemite and play it across the country.
Right.
And I love how Rudy was super adamant about it, and then Bob Odenkirk's character kind of references one point in the movie. Yeah, it was great. And that's where it sells Rudy, and he's like, you can have it. There you go. Great. It was awesome.
It's funny because that probably actually still ended up being a cut from the profits that Rudy could have made.
Yeah,
but
probably.
But that's how show business works, and I'm glad they didn't try to play that up at all.
Yes, absolutely.
So basically, Bob Odenkirk's character bought some movie rights to be able to, make the movie a widespread success, and it ended up making $10 million in the box office in the end. Dolemite, the actual movie that's made in this movie.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the budget was, but
I'm not sure.
I can't imagine it was
It
over $1 million.
No, it probably wasn't super expensive, but then also they blew up a car and did a few different things that could have raised the budget.
now there's no way that part was true.
You don't think so?
That it was his cousin's car, that it was his friend's cousin's car. Sorry, guys.
I like to think it's true, though.
For the audience, there was a part in the movie where Dolemite in the Dolemite movie, Rudy Ray Moore and his crew blow up a car, and it had apparently ended up, it was his friend's cousin's car. I feel like that was played up for the movie. I don't think there's any way that's true.
Yeah, it probably was, but I also think it's hilarious.
Right. Craig Robinson. Also, we didn't talk about him.
Yeah, he's a little bigger in the role, not like huge, but he's kind of bigger. Obviously, it's Craig Robinson, so he's gonna do music and sing.
Yes.
And he's great as always.
Another welcome presence with anything. He's always so funny and so charming.
Yes. We already talked about Snoop Dogg, who I thought was really funny in his little bit.
He was. We just kind of glossed over, again, sorry for the pronunciations, but Davine Joy Randolph.
Yes.
Is that how you spell it?
We did.
It might be Davina.
She's second to Eddie Murphy and Wesley Snipes for me.
Yeah,
she's great.
I would agree with that.
She was so good,
really, really charming.
Mm-hmm.
I keep mixing up. When Rudy first sees her in the bar, mm-hmm. She gets slapped by her husband that's cheating, and then she looks back at him. There's no reaction, and she just socks him. It's so funny.
It's great.
Oh my gosh,
she's awesome.
And then their conversation at the bar, where she's like, "I know what you're trying to do. You're just trying to woo me at my most vulnerable state, and that's not gonna happen." Mm-hmm. And then it ends up that
he's like, "No, I think you're really talented, and I think you're awesome."
Yeah,
and she's like, "Why would anyone want someone like me on stage or anything?" And he's like, I just play a character up there, right?
This is a wig.
He's wearing a wig on his head that she doesn't know. He's like, give it a pull. Give
the wig a pull.
Oh, man, that's a wig. It's like, yeah.
They both start flipping out about it. It's so funny.
It's great. They have great chemistry together.
Yeah, they did. I had never seen her in anything else.
Me neither.
But her scene at the end of the movie that was really emotional when they're about to go to the movie premiere. I want to get into that scene as well. The ending of the movie just makes this movie also just it ends on such a great note.
This is another one that is related to the last episode we did, but heartwarming. It's just a heartwarming ending.
It's
a great movie.
And there's a little bit of subversion right before you get the final result, which really works for the drama, and I also bought it. So, do you want to talk about that right now, and then we can circle back around, because nobody cares about structure on this podcast.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I do want to talk about
it. We've jumped to Love on a Leash in the middle of this movie at least 2 or 3 times.
Don't remind me of the...
Okay, we'll get to it.
No, I don't want to get to it. Let's just talk about
guess what?
This.
You have to.
Let's just put out an audio commentary on the movie. We can just skip Love on a Leash.
Just leave the other movie on. We'll put it on the thumbnail or whatever and just not talk about it anymore.
I agree. So anyway, Davina Joy Randolph, she was Lady Reed in the movie. Her scene at the end, right before Rudy and his crew all go to the premiere of Dolemite, there's this scene in the car, or right before they get in the car, that's Lady Reed saying, "I just wanted to thank you for putting me in your movie. It may not be a huge success, but I've never seen anybody like me in a movie." She's a bigger African American woman, so she was like, "Thank you for giving me a chance to be in this movie," and it was just a great scene.
Yeah.
And then they start singing a song that they had sang
that
in
we
his
cannot
stand-up.
Repeat.
We definitely cannot repeat a single bit of it.
No.
But they end up singing a song like together in a really sweet manner that they had recorded for Rudy's stand-up album, which was great.
Yes. She's awesome in the movie, and her and Eddie Murphy just have amazing chemistry together. Yes. They're great.
And then a segue right into the car scene in the end. So they're on their way to this premiere, and they're kind of jazzed up about it. They're really excited, and then they get the newspaper. They have a couple different news articles that are reviewing the movie, and all the reviews are like, "This is the worst movie ever made. This is just ridiculous. There's no appeal in this movie whatsoever."
More like Dolemite.
Dull. Yeah. And then, so they're all kind of getting disheartened about it. They're reading the reviews, and they're trying to make the most of it. So they're like, "Dolemite. Oh, okay, well, that's not the worst they could say. That's not the worst, I guess, and they're down.
Yeah,
they're down on their luck."
A side note, though, a lot of these type movies just make it seem like they're super down and, like, really depressed about it. This one has, like, positive attributes in it, and it's like
Yes.
they're all together, they're all still enjoying the movie they made. One of the reviews calls it like crass and raunchy and something not even a dead dog should see or whatever, and he's like, that's great, that's gonna make people want to see it.
It's like, yeah, okay, well, this is gonna make some people want to see it.
Exactly.
But yeah, that creative choice of them staying positive rather than getting super down about it. You can tell that they're down, but they're like, well, you know what? We still had a fun time. And the big thing that Lady Reed and Rudy talked about at the beginning of the right before they got in the car was that she was like, I don't care if this movie's a success. We had a fun time making it. And everybody agreed. But then, so they read all these reviews and they're kind of down, but they're kind of enthusiastic. They open the door to this, just the block is filled with the line to the box office, to the theater to watch the movie. And then, of course, it's that magical moment, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So good.
And then right when they go up to the movie theater, going to walk in to see the movie, people are like cheering for Rudy, cheering for Dolemite, and he just turns back and is just super welcoming to everyone there. He stays out of the premiere of the movie so he could stay and hang out with all of these people, and it's just super cool.
They were like, the box office people were like, we sold out the midnight show, we sold out the 9 p.m. show, we might have to add a 2 o'clock in the morning show. And then Rudy's like, well, I'm going to stay with all these people because if they want Dolemite, they're going to get Dolemite.
That's right.
So he was like, I'm going to get all these people what they came for.
Yeah.
Or give them what they came for,
yes, absolutely. I just can't stress enough how great I think Eddie Murphy is in this movie.
Yeah.
He's awesome, and it's one of the best performances of a real-life person brought to a theatrical screen. It's awesome.
Raygan.
Are you ready?
Raygan.
This is so exciting.
Raygan.
Kilian.
I am so genuinely sorry. You know, at the beginning...
I can't believe... I don't know how you found this movie.
We started this podcast as, two buddies, and we might end up not liking each other by the end of this podcast.
Ooh, that's an interesting theory. Just because of how poisonous it is talking and thinking about this movie?
Yeah. Well, I know we're only 2 episodes in and now 3, but do you ever think, just... we're done. This is enough. This is the final. 3 episodes seems good, right? The Star Wars trilogy was 3 movies. Yeah. The Lord of the Rings was 3 movies.
Yeah. We're stopping this podcast and we're starting a new one that we don't have to watch movies like this anymore.
All right.
I'm very excited.
So,
I can see the pain in your face.
On a more serious note, I'm sort of playing this up a little bit. It's awful, but I watched it with Alyssa, my girlfriend, so I at least had a little excitement of being able to laugh at it. But
see, I love my fiance, so I didn't show her this movie. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Don't start a sentence like that with that
kidding.
Inflection.
No. Oh, I'm sorry. I just meant so I didn't show her this movie. That was what I.
Good.
What were you thinking I was going for?
No, I was joking.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so
yeah, I'm just kidding. I would have shown her this movie if I had the chance.
I'm not kidding. Don't do it.
I'm not planning on it. I mean, we did see Cats in the theater together,
and we saw the Emoji Movie in theater together.
That was a good time. Savannah,
that was a great time, actually. Yeah. Though. So
that was a lot of fun. Cats would not have been as much fun, but once that movie's for rent, you might hate it more than this.
Holy crap. I am more excited about that than having to talk about this. Okay.
We are here
for... So, Raygan, what was this movie about?
That's a great question, man.
There's no answer.
There's kind of an answer.
Well, it's one sentence.
Dog wants girl. But
good night, everybody.
Okay, so basically, this guy got turned into a dog.
How? How Raygan?
Because he was like, he really liked
By
women.
what means?
Sparkly magic that
Came out
was
of a
made
fountain.
by a 4-year-old.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll let you actually try to get through this so our audience isn't completely lost.
Oh, this is going to be rough.
I know. I'll help you.
Okay, so a guy is turned into a dog because he just tries to sleep with a bunch of women and doesn't care for anybody. And this weird magical voice that comes from a rock or a bush, I don't know where it comes from, or a sparkly cloud. It doesn't. It doesn't matter.
Little fountain, I think.
Is it?
It's a little puddle in a dog park.
Okay. So that sounds like you gotta find someone you're completely in love with and would do anything for, and don't be so selfish and stuff, and you'll turn back into a human again.
Yes.
So this dog just like tries to get with every girl he sees until he finds just
human girls.
Human girl. I'm
girls,
sorry,
by the
not
way.
dog.
Yes.
I should have clarified.
Right, and that leads us to Lisa.
Lisa, Lisa, the name Lisa in bad movies, because of
You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
Yes, apparently Lisa's a famous name for terrible movies.
If you've seen The Room, The Room has nothing on
The
this
Room
movie.
doesn't have audio cuts everywhere and 25 different side plots.
So basically, what Raygan already said, but then the dog tries to pursue a woman named Lisa. Mm-hmm. There's nothing more to explain because everything else is like a specific plot detail that goes either nowhere or doesn't actually happen.
Which we're going to talk about in great detail
Holy crap.
Fully analyze it today.
Oh my gosh.
This podcast will be 42 hours long.
If we had to go in and explore like the reasoning behind every single scene, we would be here for, I mean, no exaggeration, at least 8 hours, right?
Yeah. All 4 Lord of the Rings extended edition movies together would be 12, or 3. I'm sorry.
No,
I had a brain fart.
Nope, you're good.
But all 3 of them, they're 4 hours long each, so that would be 12 hours long.
Yeah.
This is an hour and 25 minutes. It would take longer to explain this movie than that whole trilogy.
Plus the Silmarillion, which is like the lore Bible for Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Shout out to Frank.
Shout out to Frank.
The only reason I know that is because of that.
Honestly, yes. Yeah, but it's a lot. So we'll go through it as best as we can.
I have notes throughout the whole thing.
I think I just was so enamored by it.
Audience, I'm showing Raygan my notes right now. I'm going to scroll through, and you're going to get his reactions on camera.
Oh my gosh. Oh no.
There are, if this was like a Google page, or if this was like an Apple Pages PDF, this would be, I think, 2 full pages long out of just notes from the movie. So we're not going to go through everything. I'm going to skip most of it. This movie's inexplicable.
We have to say there are, most movies have a main thing, and then there's a side plot or 2 with different characters maybe. This has every 5 minutes is a new side plot. It's so crazy.
Yes, let's get into it.
Okay.
Are you ready? So I'll start, I suppose. I'm going to insert myself because the opening credits music is literally the most ominous music. It's like a John Carpenter score.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about literally just the studio that made the movie. Studio in quotation marks.
I was going to say.
It goes... And then it's silent for a long time, for about 1 minute.
Yeah.
So there's no soundtrack to this movie, guys. Not a single soundtrack. And Raygan and I initially thought that maybe it was because of copyright. Because of copyright. Mm-hmm. It's not. It's clear throughout the movie how many silences there are. There wouldn't be enough time for them to put music in. Yeah. They actually just left them blank with no background music.
There is no music at all,
or background noise. It's actually muted.
I'm pretty sure there's a composer in the opening credits. That is labeled.
Is there? What?
I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure I saw that.
That's insane. To give you an idea of what this movie was like, there's no way to actually explain it on this podcast, and I don't care if we get copyrighted. I know we're not going to from these guys, but I just have to play like a little clip because this movie is inexplicable.
How stupid. What kind of idiot doesn't know how to swim? You made me lose face in front of everyone, and now you want me to save you? It's not fair. It's not fair at all. All right, grab on, you pizza face cinder block.
You didn't leave it the big deal. I'm Alvin Flay.
We have to talk about that. They don't know what that means
Okay,
yet.
so...
But that was just some dialogue from the dog that was played by the man, the myth, the legend, Gustavo Rock from Big Time Rush.
Oh man, I can't believe he's here.
So I honestly didn't know. So his actual name is Stephen Kramer, or Stephen Kramer Glickman is his full name. And I saw that he was in the cast list when I gave you this movie, and I didn't know who he played.
No,
I didn't know,
neither.
and I didn't figure it out until like halfway through. This was while they were filming this Nickelodeon TV show called Big Time Rush, which was like a big part of my childhood.
The same time?
This was filmed, or it came out in 2011, and Big Time Rush was like
crazy.
2009 to 2012. So yeah,
Wow.
he could have been like at the Big Time Rush recording booth, recording his lines for this movie. He's never in person, and so there's a human counterpart to this dog in this movie, right? And he's not played by the same person. Why didn't the guy who played the human version of him voice the dog? But Stephen Kramer Glickman played the dog's voice.
Yeah. But
So
here's the thing with that, too. The human character, because about 20 to 30 minutes in, the dog becomes human because of his love with Lisa, but can only stay human when the sun's not out.
Right.
Until he proves himself fully.
As a punishment, because the spirit that makes him change from human to dog didn't believe that he was fully in love with Lisa.
Yes.
So there was like a half punishment. Well, you can still be human half the time, but you're a dog the other half.
Yeah, which is just great logic.
Good stuff.
But the thing is, the human and the dog both have scenes throughout the rest of the movie. They seem like completely different people.
Absolutely.
The human is like a nicer guy. He seems like he's
a little bit weird.
He's a little bit weird, but he's trying his best, trying to become this human again. The dog is just a cynical, quirky weirdo. Evil.
He's so mean.
Yes, he's super mean. He sings at random parts for some reason.
And the human doesn't sing. They're completely two different characters, even though they're supposed to be the same one. At least Fluke got that right.
Oh my gosh, that's true. But that means the only music in this movie is when the dog sings.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that. That's awesome.
It's great.
But that clip that I played for you, he says something like a pimply faced cinder block. But that's the girl, a pizza face cinder block. Yeah. That's the girl that he's trying to impress.
Yes.
That's the.
The girl can't hear him.
Right.
The dog can't talk. It's all in his head.
It's all intrinsic. So
yes,
it's
there's so much to explain. And everyone who's going to listen to this is going to be very confused.
This is like jumping right into JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and just trying to explain a plot point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if Kazam is like a So Bad's Good movie and Thor End of Days is just kind of like a weird bad movie, this is an absolute enigma that can't compare to anything else, any single category.
I wanted to bring up in my high school history class, shout out John Anderson, who was my teacher.
I love John.
He made all of his classes watch a film called Iron Jawed Angels, which it has Hilary Swank in it, and I think one actually like kind of another well-known actress. But it's a movie that I've always sort of referred to as the worst movie I've ever seen. Yeah. Because it just has crazy music choices. The editing's bad. It's filmed poorly, and the acting is all bad except for like Hilary Swank. Yes. The story made no sense. and it has changed with this movie. Like, no, not surprisingly. So
yeah, of
okay,
course,
so
but...
Iron Jawed Angels, not to get into a completely different movie, but it was a film festival film that was put there and then had a DVD release. Never went to theaters. Yeah. So it was like a student film essentially that had a lot of traction and somehow got into the hands of our history
John
teacher.
Anderson.
And he was like, my students gotta see this.
Yes.
Which makes me laugh so
he
hard.
He was very excited about
He had like flaming hot Converse shoes. They had flames on the side of them.
He's so good.
What a cutie. Anyway.
Yeah. The thing is, though, at least that one was competently made.
It wasn't, though. It was much more than this.
Okay, so what I mean by that is this movie has multiple audio cuts where it's just silence while you can see people talking, while stuff's happening in the background. It keeps cutting in and out. There is weird scenes where it's just them sped up. Like, it shows her sitting at home and then speeding up to get ready. And then the next scene's just her sitting at home again.
If Raygan and I were, like, filming something right now, we would have background noise, and we would have it in our scenes. But if you're using one camera, like they were for this movie, they have to use the audio from that one camera for each time. So if the camera switches from Raygan to me, and we only have two people filming, then the audio is going to change just slightly because the background, the environmental noises have a little tiny shift every single time you change them. This movie did that every single time and didn't fill its other clips that didn't have dialogue in them with anything. Yeah. So I wanted to stress, they're actually silent clips.
Completely silent.
So if Raygan and I are talking in a room right now and we're talking, and then it'll pan to like the city or something, it'll go for a very long time. So basically, I just want to point that out. If you guys listen to the first 5 minutes of this movie, it's called Love on a Leash, and it's on YouTube for free.
Please watch it.
Please watch the first, maybe like fast forward 1 minute into it and watch 1 minute of it. You guys will understand what we're talking about.
You should watch the first hour and 25 minutes of this movie.
Do not do that to our listeners.
Join me on my personal podcast where each episode I talk about 5-minute segments of this movie, and each episode of my podcast is 2 hours long.
Do you want to do that? We could. It's a great idea, but maybe not with this movie.
Maybe one day.
I'd rather not break this one down.
One day.
Gosh, what a great movie.
Oh my gosh. There is a couple scenes I was thinking about. The scene with the one boss lady, whatever, where she was trying to fit in a dress, that would have clearly fit her, but they're like pretending her butt was too big or something.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It had cut in fart noises that were way too loud.
Yes.
It was awesome.
I think she looked excellent in that dress. Yes.
Beautiful. Do you remember there's a very serious scene in between Lisa and her, at the time, quote-unquote boyfriend?
Oh, they're talking about the boss scene.
Oh, no, not the boss scene. Although
that?
I will say, there are so many creepy people in this movie.
They're all creepy, and they're trying to hammer home the idea that all of the people are bad for her except for the dog person. Yes. Alvin Flang.
Remember that name.
I was going to say
It'll
Alan
be big
Flynn.
One. Alan Flynn. That's close enough.
It is.
Yeah, but it's the scene between her and the boyfriend who tells her that he's gay, but his family wouldn't want him to do that, so he wants her to marry him just by name. That scene is like a very serious, like somber scene.
It was.
But the camera angle basically just shows like a quarter of the side of their face.
It's true.
And it boggles my mind how if they decide to choose that camera angle, or if they didn't have any more room to back up, or what the deal was. It was insane.
I have one positive thing to say about this movie. Mm-hmm. And I mean one. Mm-hmm. Literally nothing else is even semi-comparable.
Mm-hmm.
The one good thing I think about this movie is that guy. No,
I'm just kidding.
That guy. The guy who came out as gay.
That scene could have been really emotionally
he's
strong.
really good.
Yes,
and I looked him up. I was like, "There's no way he's just in this. He's way too good for this.
Mm-hmm.
He's a comparable actor.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a ton of stuff.
Is he?
He's not a big actor, but he's in side roles on tons of things.
Gotcha.
Tons.
That makes
His
sense.
IMDb is like miles long, and I was like, "Good for him."
He was really good. That scene was the only one that felt like it was true emotion.
Yeah,
and I would have been
and it was
somewhat into it.
It was long. Sorry, not drawn out. It was the appropriate length for a scene like that to happen.
It would have felt more serious if, one, it wasn't followed by 15 minutes of Love on a Leash, and two, if the camera angles were at least somewhat decent, because it's crazy.
Yeah. Want to talk about her greenhouse?
Oh my gosh.
Alyssa and I were
It's not even just the greenhouse. Greenhouse, green dress, everything about Lisa is green.
But,
even at the end, where she gets married to Alvin Flang, like, you wear a white dress, right? They put in, like, spots of green on her in the wedding. It's crazy.
This is like it was probably filmed anywhere between 2007 and 2010. It came out in 2011. And I mean, kind of single colors were in at that time. Like, your apartment would be one color, but oh my gosh, her apartment is terrifying. It's the green screen green color.
It's that level.
Color.
But at least they're kind of self-aware about it. Alvin Flang says...
fully disagree.
Okay, Alvin Flang, the dog...
He does, yeah.
He comments on it a lot.
Do you think that was an ad-lib from Gustavo Rock?
I bet Gustavo
probably
was. I bet he improvised all of it and just, like, did whatever he wanted with it.
Well, he forgets the name of his character, so yeah.
My name...
We'll talk about that. That's the only funny part of this movie.
How dare you?
So, there's one point. So, Lisa's friend in the park, when they first see the dog, is trying to convince Lisa that she should have, like, all men in her cupboard, one for each mood, basically. So she should basically have, like...
There was some line that was, like...
contradicting with that.
I don't know if you want to keep this one in. So, just, like, right here, Kilian, editor... Unless you're going to. It was something like virginity is so yesterday.
Virginity is so yesterday on my notes is what I was about to say in the podcast.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was...
You stole my thunder.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Don't worry.
We can even cut it if you want to say it.
Definitely not cutting all that. That was just amazing coincidence.
Okay, great.
That
line is so good.
She's talking to Lisa, Lisa's best friend, who I don't think is named, is talking to Lisa, and she's like, this whole virginity thing is so yesterday, which was so great. Was virginity ever a trend?
Yeah. And then once she finally does get with Alvin Flang, her friend is mad about it.
Yes. Alvin Flang is the dog, by the way. We've said it already a bunch of times, but it's important just because it sounds like we're talking about two different people.
Yes,
because the dog's
his name is Alvin
Prince.
Flang.
The dog's name is Prince because that's what they named the dog, because the dog can't speak. But when the dog turns into a human, and his human name is Alvin Flang, he doesn't tell Lisa, my actual name is Alvin Flang. He still is called Prince.
And, like, he doesn't care, but when he's turned back into a dog again, he really cares and is like, my name's Alvin Flang. Why doesn't anybody know this?
Right. So the man who compliments... Oh, yeah. This is big.
Oh, boy.
So, this really gaudy woman comes into the store and is talking to Lisa about the dress. And she's like, I'd like to buy this dress, please. And Lisa's like, hey, that dress is too small for you. I can't sell this dress to you. She denies that woman business because the dress is too small. It's not her concern. Wait, Raygan.
Yeah.
Then the second person who comes up to her is like the store owner. By the way, I just wanted to say he looks exactly like Tom Hanks mixed with Jimmy Kimmel. And I have a picture for reference.
Okay.
I'm going to show you. It is kind of uncanny.
Oh my gosh.
Is that not...
Honestly, it looks like Tom Hanks mixed with Jimmy Kimmel, but also the hair...
Jason Bateman.
No. Well, yes. but more Will Forte.
Okay, yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've always thought that those two kind of look similar, actually.
Mm-hmm. They do.
So anyway, so the store owner comes up to her after that. The Jimmy Kimmel guy walks the woman to the register, saying like, I think you should buy this dress, right? Because you want people to spend money at your store. And then the store owner comes up to Lisa and is like, I liked your way better.
Yeah.
No, you own the store, so you're making money off of this purchase. And she said, don't buy the dress because it's too small. How do you like her way better? Because
exactly. It's
I just
ridiculous.
wanted to point out that.
Yeah. Also, there are just keeping parts in this movie that pop up in my mind that I thought I blocked from my memory. Lisa just like completely tries to kill herself by overdosing 20 minutes in the movie, and I forgot about that until this point now.
Yeah,
that happened.
It did.
20 minutes in.
It genuinely. I think it was more like 50 minutes in, but
no, it wasn't, because it was before Alvin Flang turned into a human.
Oh, that's
and
true.
He turned
You're
into
right.
a human like 25, 30 minutes in.
That is insanity. It would make more sense towards the end.
You would think that the first 30 minutes of this movie would have been a full plot of the movie. But then there's still an hour left, and it's all this crazy stuff.
I want to know what the filmmaker had this movie rated. Mm-hmm. Because there's like a full butt crack in this movie. At one point, Alvin Flang's butt, like entire bootang is showing. But I want to know what it was rated, because it's got some serious themes, so it can't be PG. It could have been PG-13, but sometimes it seemed to me to be R, because she like overdoses on drugs, and drugs for radical for
Ralph and Flang.
for rampant good time with Alvin Flang.
That's right.
And
that would be a good talk show name.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're so dumb.
Our jokes aren't jokes. I also wanted to say, so at this point in the movie, like 20 minutes in, it's not clear if she owns the dog.
No.
She never really took the dog home. There's a gas station scene where she almost runs it over with her green slug bug, her green Volkswagen Beetle.
Yeah.
No joke. But then the dog is kind of just at her house. So I don't know if she adopted the dog. I mean, she did.
She really... It only really seemed like she adopted the dog, and actually took care of the dog, after she overdosed and Alvin Flang saved her.
So, you know how everything's green, including all of her outfits and eyeshadow and everything in her house and her car? Mm-hmm. I wanted to point out that there is one point in the movie where she's not wearing green.
Really?
Yes, you might not have caught it. So, basically, she's going on her first date with that first guy, and she puts on a green outfit to wear. She goes to the date, and then they show a street view of the date, and she's wearing a red dress. And it's a 2-second cut, and then she's green the rest of the movie.
I was going to say, because that date is probably a total of 5-second screen time.
It was, yeah. It was actually about 5 seconds.
Wow, that's crazy.
Alvin Flang. What a name. I love it so much.
I'm going to be using it probably for the rest of my life. She and Alvin Flang in Prince, the dog Prince, which is the same character, they go in front of the store window, and this is before Lisa even knows that he's a dog. The dog's a person. The dog's a person, and she goes in front of this window, and she's like, "Why don't you buy me the clothes?" The clothes that she wants in the window that are green. And Alvin Flang goes, "I'd rather kill myself." I'm not kidding. I forgot about that.
So like I said, or like Raygan said, the movie is just the dog roasting her the entire time. It's so rude. It's not like even good insults. It's like genuinely rude things to say.
Dog Alvin Flang roasts her. Human Alvin Flang tries to be in a relationship with her.
So Raygan, you know how like Tarantino has his signature feet shots, and Nolan has his signature like mind-bending reality moments in his movies, and Edgar Wright has his editing.
Of course.
Well, the one thing that this movie really stuck with me was the time lapses that had no music to them.
Yep. Yes,
that's going to be this director's trademark. I think it should stick in Hollywood for a little bit longer. I
think
want
so,
the
too.
next Avengers movie to have Captain America and Iron Man just running about
Yeah.
with no music.
Yeah. They were either... There was a lot of silence. There were maybe 1 or 2 time lapses that had just cricket noises going on while it was going.
Yes.
It's wild.
And do you remember... Oh, what's her name? Do you remember the gypsy lady, Rita?
Yes.
She just appears in her apartment out behind a clothes hamper that's hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And she goes, she comes out and she's excited to talk to Lisa, and then Lisa has a dress on, like not even like a date dress, sort of like a casual dress, and she goes, "Oh, you have a boyfriend," disappointingly.
Yeah. They
How did
tried
she
to
infer
hook her
this?
up throughout the movie, too.
It's true.
The gypsy lady and Lisa's mom are friends, apparently, or something like that.
So this gypsy lady tries to set her up with a couple different guys, and when she's deciding between these men, she has printed pictures of them. Did you notice that?
I did not.
You didn't notice?
I forgot about that.
Literally, like, she's deciding between both men, and she goes, she's deciding between Frank and Kyle, by the way. I wrote down their names. Frank and
no.
Kyle. So after she went on the date, she's
Shout
trying
out
to
to
decide.
Frank.
Yeah, and she... Shout out to Frank again.
Again.
And she has printed pictures of them, and she's like, which one am I going to choose? And then she shows the camera.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It's,
Lisa's friend
oh,
also...
wait, I do remember that now.
Yes.
Just because of that scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lisa's friend actually flirts with the dog. Just the dog.
When?
Like,
the beginning?
many times. She's like, what a handsome boy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But, like, not like you would say, oh, that's such a handsome dog.
Uh-huh.
Like, this dog is very attractive.
Dude.
I mean, it was pretty
That
cute,
girl
but I
was
wouldn't sleep with it.
She was something else. The friend.
Yeah, she was.
She would...
Oh, Alyssa also pointed out, God, Alyssa's getting a lot of airtime, but she
Shout
pointed
out
out...
to Alyssa.
Shout out to
You've got to
Alyssa.
shout-
Every character in this movie has a color. So her friend
Yeah.
is
Pink.
really pink, yeah. And there's people that one of her store manager is gray, and then
Yep.
one of the guys that she dates is yellow, and the dog as a human is naked.
That's his color.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I totally noticed that. That was something else.
Yes. I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but the store owner asks her out on a date. She looks uncomfortable. This is foreshadowing, but she should have just said, "Sorry, I'm only into golden retrievers," as the Who plays, because she's clearly attracted to dogs throughout this entire
Yeah.
movie. It's
It's,
dealt with lightly, but I mean, her attraction
It's crazy.
is as much to the dog as it is the person Alvin
Yes.
Flame.
It yeah, it's a good movie. I give it like an 8.5 out of 10.
So before the dog turns into the human for the first time, there's CGI rain that's going on. Really bad CGI
Yeah.
rain. The lighting is not matched. It's actually a little bit too pretentious to call it CGI, because it's actually like a PNG image that somebody
Yes.
dragged down multiple times to
Yes.
simulate rain.
That's a good way to describe it, actually.
Yeah, thank you. But so the dog turns into the human when she hugs the dog, when Lisa hugs the dog, and you can hear shebang. Do you remember that?
I do,
Somebody
yeah.
actually says the word shebang, and I think I'm
That's
pretty
so
sure it's the
crazy.
dog.
Yeah.
I think.
Another thing about that scene, real quick.
Uh-huh.
So right at that moment was when Lisa just was like, I'm not gonna be with any men. I'm just gonna be with my dog, and then she hugs the dog. Dog turns into a human. Human goes, "Will you marry me?" Lisa immediately says yes.
That's true.
No hesitation.
I
She's
didn't even
just
notice that.
Yeah, let's get married. I just denounced all men in my life because everyone's a creep.
Yes.
But how about this random person who I just met who was my dog?
And did you happen to notice the camera angle when he first turns into a human?
Yes.
The camera is probably 6 inches out from his chest, and it's panned upwards, so you can basically see up his nose, but he doesn't have any expression. He is like dead-eyed, looking forward, and
so beautiful.
it's magnificent.
The actor for human Alvin Flang is very bland.
Handsome.
You think so?
No.
I was gonna say he's just super bland. I liked dog Alvin Flang. I didn't like human Alvin Flang.
Yes. So when I was watching the movie, we were sitting on the couch, and this was like maybe 45 minutes in, and Lisa puts a leash on human Alvin Flang.
Oh no!
And Alyssa and I
I forgot about that.
We just took a break. we just paused it
Yeah.
and thought about everything. I texted you and
Yeah. I hated that part. That was something that was unexpectedly just terrible.
really attractive.
Oh yeah.
Oh, then we're
Really
in two
attractive.
separate categories.
Oh yeah,
No, I'm just
you
kidding.
took a break because you had to go away for a minute.
Yeah, it was. That was a good stopping point. I'll just say that. I
Yeah,
guess.
it's weirdly creepy.
Inevitably, in the movie, Lisa wants her family to meet human Alvin
No,
Flang.
this is her boss.
Oh, her boss.
Yes.
I never got that.
Okay, it's her boss and his wife, and I don't know who the other people are.
Okay, well, why?
I don't
then?
know. I
Why?
don't know.
You understand why I assumed it was her parents, then,
Yeah,
right?
of course I would
Okay.
understand that, but it's not.
Okay, well, thank you for the correction because I
Yes.
never once got that.
Uh-huh.
So her boss, she wants her boss to meet Alvin Flang as a person, but remember the dog, or Alvin Flang turns into a dog when it's
the
light
sun-
outside,
when the sun's out,
which
yeah.
isn't consistent.
Yeah.
That's not true within
Yeah.
the movie. They
And
said
in
that.
their explanation, it's like, oh, it's going to be a cloudy day, so come see
Right.
my boss and sacrifice being caught for me.
Yes. So there's this scene when they're getting to know each other, basically Alvin Flang and the I guess the boss's son or something.
I think it is the boss's son, actually.
I guess. And there's this just wonderful, wonderful thing that happens. So the sun comes out basically from behind the clouds, and Alvin Flang turns into a dog. And I'm gonna play you the audio clip, just a couple seconds, and please bear with me.
Dad, Prince just became a dog. Big deal. I'm Alvin Schwang.
Big deal. I'm Alvin Schwang,
I'm Alvin Schwang.
and I want you guys to.
He says his name twice in the movie and mispronounced it once.
The only reason that we're going by the fact that his name is actually Alvin Flang is because he said it first, and in the
Which
IMDb.
is also great.
Yes, in the IMDb, whatever, the IMDb website for this, it says Alvin Flang. But in that scene, he goes, "Big deal, I'm Alvin Schwang."
I
So,
really think that the voice actor just improvised all of this.
he's kind of big. I've seen him in a couple different things.
I know.
He's always recognizable when he's in them.
He's awesome.
Anyway,
And I like him in this as the voice. It's just such a terrible thing surrounding
Yes.
all of it.
let's just try to wrap this up.
Okay,
Basically, I just want to go through it really quickly because the end we do have to talk about
Okay,
the one thing
yes,
that happens.
absolutely.
Something happens between Lisa and him. We don't need to go into it. And then the dog runs away and is like contemplating life while singing, hiding under benches, and basically becoming a rogue dog.
Thank you for clarifying while singing.
Yes.
Thank you for doing that.
No problem.
Uh-huh.
And then the dog realizes he realizes, like, for no reason that, oh, I actually do want to be with Lisa. And then
Yeah.
he runs to her, and then out of nowhere, he gets smacked by a car. And he
then-
does die.
Yeah, the next scene over is the dog with just, like, blood on its head and stuff.
And the dog's moving. Like, we can't
Yeah.
fault the dog for being a bad actor, but
Yeah.
this is the worst acting dog I've
Yeah.
ever seen in any movie.
Yeah. But then it's, like, resurrected as a human or something like that, and they get together later.
And
it's
they live
really
happily
weird.
ever after.
Yes.
And they're all, like, they have gray hair, but they still look exactly the same.
Yes.
So it's supposed to be, like, years and years later. They don't explain why.
Yes. On that note, I want to bring up at the very
Can
end.
we please stop talking about this movie,
This
Raygan?
is I promise you. This is the last part.
I just want to see my family again.
You're trapped here.
This is my eternal hell. Continue.
Yes. This is the last thing, I promise, because it's in the very end credits.
Okay.
So in the end credits, it shows like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my
first
gosh.
off, it only shows I think two behind the scenes
Two
clips,
scenes.
and one of them is them just like prepping the dog on the concrete with the like bloody head and stuff like that.
I think they just
And
wanted to
that's
show
the
us.
scene they chose.
I think they wanted to show us that they didn't harm an actual dog.
Okay, that.
But it was. I thought it was going to be bloopers.
Oh wait, yeah, because they did at the pool scene too.
Yeah, they wanted to like have written record that they didn't
We
abuse
did not
this
hurt
dog.
this dog. Yeah,
That's crazy.
that would make more sense. to
One
me.
final thing. In the end credits, this is the last thing that shows on screen after all the actors and producers and whatever flash on the screen. It says Love on a Leash Productions. So the production
They're their own
company,
company!
the company that made Love on a Leash is Love on a Leash.
Well, I'm excited for
Productions.
the sequel. Can
That makes you are the only you and I are the only people in the world who have seen this movie, so that makes
No,
two of us.
That's not true. It said like 50,000 or something. And also, a guy named Ralph the Movie Maker on YouTube made a video about it that has over 1 million views.
Don't ask me how I found this
people know
movie. It
about
doesn't
it.
matter.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
All right, do you want to get into some reviews then?
100%. I've been avoiding the reviews
Thank you for doing
because
that.
I've been waiting so long to hear them from you.
So, full transparency, when I gave this movie to Raygan, I actually hadn't seen it, and that's sort of like against our rules, but it doesn't matter as long as we're both discussing it for the first time on the podcast.
Yeah.
So we may change our intro of, whatever we said, but trust me, this was a good lesson.
Watch the movie beforehand.
Yes. So I gave it to him, and I signed it on the podcast, and then after we left for the podcast last time we recorded, I looked on Rotten Tomatoes, and I noticed that the Rotten Tomatoes score is 97%, which is higher than many, like Empire Strikes Back. I think it has that exact same score.
Yeah.
And like Citizen Kane is at a 99.
Yeah.
97 is Love on a Leash, so it's getting there.
Yeah.
So I got really nervous. I was like, wait a minute, is this
This wasn't
actually
reviewer
good?
score either. This was user score.
Right, this is the
Just one
user
part.
score. There's no actual tomato meter score because no critics have.
Big surprise.
Yeah, or only one critic has rated it, but I think you need like 10 or something to actually, or 50 maybe. It's something like that. Okay, so I read the reviews and I was like, oh my gosh, we might have to re-record this because from what I'm hearing, this movie's actually really great. It's not, but here are some of here are some of the best reviews. This is from RC. A masterclass in filmmaking. Any aspiring movie maker should watch this. When the credits hit, I stood up crying and laughing and clapping and something else and celebrating. A true marvel.
Can't argue with that one.
I can't say what he said, but it's okay.
Wait, can I see?
Leon R. Yeah, I'll zoom in. Here you
Yeah.
go. Bad word, guys. For our viewers, it's a bad word.
Oh, that one.
But
I
it's
should have
funny.
guessed, but it is a funny one.
Yes. Leanne R. said, this is the best movie ever made. Danger Trooper C. said, this is beautiful, and I no longer want to kill myself after seeing this. Absolutely fantastic. Well, Danger Trooper C., that makes one of you, because the dog wanted to kill himself.
The dog did.
And Lisa wanted to at one point in the movie, so every character went
Yeah.
through their fair share of trauma.
That's right.
Julian N. Forget about The Godfather. Forget about Casablanca, 400 Blows, Citizen Kane, or 2001 Space Odyssey. Forget about all that crap. This is the best movie of all time.
Yes.
So
These reviews so far sound just accurate to me.
now I'm gonna do one more review. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Now this one's from Wade P. Now you're wondering, if everybody thinks this is the greatest movie of all time, why are we at a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes rather than a 100%?
Ooh, interesting.
This one has 3 stars.
Is this just the Family Guy synopsis again?
That was my favorite moment in this
I'm
podcast.
so glad I found that.
Me
So
too.
good.
So Wade P says, better than I thought. Totally unpredictable.
That's the most tame review I've ever heard.
So he I think that's not a joke. I think he
I-
really was like, this movie is better than I thought. It was totally
I've
unpredictable.
got to say, though, the totally unpredictable, 100% accurate.
Absolutely.
I couldn't have guessed anything that happened in this movie, even if I tried as hard as I could.
Man, no, you're
This
right.
was an experience that I lived through.
I shan't forget it anytime
never,
soon.
Never. No, this is a whole different type of movie, and it will haunt me and hold me and love me forever.
Do you think we should just end the podcast here? I don't mean this episode. I mean like the podcast. Just leave it at a trilogy. Just leave it on a low note. It can't get better.
Come on, man. I want to do more.
Oh,
I gotta
man.
force you to watch more good stuff and also hot garbage.
Well, I'm glad
This
that I made you watch this movie.
Yes,
And I'm
this-
not the only one who had to
this
suffer through
might
it.
be the worst movie we ever see. Like,
Guys,
by-
I will guarantee
by
it.
a technical standpoint,
Yes.
for sure. It might not be it might not be our least favorite, but it might be your least favorite.
The Last Jedi is still my least favorite film.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Classic.
Classic.
Now comes the time in the podcast where we assign each other the movies to watch for the next week, for the next podcast, to talk about one good, one bad, and
One ugly.
and one ugly.
Actually, too ugly.
Too ugly.
Get it? Because both of us.
You are stunning. I don't ever want to hear you put yourself down like that
I'm
again.
gonna. Oh, I'm sorry. You're a beautiful man too, and
Thank
I
you.
didn't mean it.
Thank you very much, and hopefully you can tell that from our voices. Anyway, we're off topic. So next week, I want you to watch a movie called The Player, which is a Tim Robbins movie, and it has like every single celebrity in it of all time, and it's really great.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I think I've heard about it, but I don't know anything at all about it, and I'm very excited.
Okay, awesome. So the movie came out in 1992, so this was actually right before The Shawshank Redemption, right before Tim Robbins' really big break.
interesting.
Yeah, he'd been in some stuff, but
Yeah.
we'll talk about that next week.
Awesome. I'm
Hopefully
looking
you really
forward to
enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Okay, so the bad movie I want to give you this week.
Oh,
You
God.
probably know about it because we're both big fans of Drew Gooden and Danny Gonzalez.
Okay. Yes,
and
we
they
are.
both made videos about this movie, starring Noah Centineo,
Oh, no!
the mom from Good Luck Charlie, and that's
no.
all I know.
Oh, no.
Kilian, your movie this week is Swiped.
I have seen the video on this, and I'm not excited.
I am so excited.
Well, thank you, Raygan.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. What a great show, right, Raygan?
Yeah.
Well, we hope you enjoyed us goofy blokes talking about absolutely nothing for an hour or so. If you want to follow our social media accounts, you can find me at KILIAN.SOPER on Instagram. That's Kilian.soper. And you can follow the podcast at almost.insightful on Instagram. And at almostinsight on Twitter with no spaces. Thank you guys so much for listening. Go ahead.
Bye.